So today I'm going to read to you something really about beauty and what is beauty and where does it come from and how can we find it. I don't know if this is something you've contemplated. I don't know if this is something that you've thought about. We spend a lot of our time thinking about things, often the things we worry about, the things that we maybe have no control over. The things that happen in our mind are often chatter of all kinds of someone said something and someone meant something, and we're always thinking of something or other. But I'm hoping that through these contemplations you'll start thinking about some of the things that can give us solitude, give us a break from our thoughts, give us a break that will inspire us to go beyond all our troubles and all our worries and all the stuff of the day. So here's something that you might enjoy. I've come across a wonderful author recently by the name of John O'Donohue. Now, some of you might know him very well. You might have read his books, and this is one of his most famous books, Aman Cara. I'm sorry, it's upside down and reversed in the camera, but Aman Cara, Amanamcara. And John O'Donohue is a very well known poet from Ireland. And in this book, he talks about beauty. He says, well, he talks about many things, but this particular section I'm going to read to you is about beauty, where he says here, only in solitude can you discover a sense of your own beauty. The divine artist, and I love how he says that, the divine artist or God or the creator. The divine artist sent no one here without the depth and light of divine beauty. This beauty is frequently concealed behind the dull facade of routine. I wonder what he means by that. Could it be that we don't realize the beauty that is hidden within us? The real beauty that he's going to talk about, perhaps because we're so busy with routine and the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Only in your solitude will you come upon your own beauty. In the neglected crevices and corners of your evaded solitude, you will find the treasure that you have always sought elsewhere. Ezra Pound said something similar about beauty. Beauty likes to keep away from the public glare. It likes to find a neglected or abandoned place, for it knows that it is only here it will meet the kind of light that repeats its shape, dignity, and nature. There is a deep beauty within each person. There is a deep beauty within each person. Modern culture is obsessed with cosmetic perfection. Beauty is standardized. It has become another product for sale. In its real sense, beauty is the illumination of your soul. So, if you look at it from there, you begin to see that if beauty is the illumination of your soul, and if there is no difference between my soul and your soul, if our soul is made of the same stuff, if it is made of that same light, if it is made of that same beautiful presence of the divine artist within our lives, then perhaps I am as beautiful as you are, and you are as beautiful as I am, and perhaps the most beautiful, so called physically attractive person in the world, there is no difference between any of us. You see, we're so caught up in the external trappings of our physical beauty, but that beauty is like a flower. It fades with time and withers, and then we become really um, sad and defeated because we haven't prepared ourselves for this. Nothing in our world prepared us for being caught up in this whirlwind, which is the media and the way we would get programmed to think that our physical beauty, this physical body, would be our true self. This is what we've been thinking, and that uh, with its deterioration, because we've identified with it all our lives, with its deterioration comes a sense of I'm not good enough. No one's looking at me. I'm not as attractive as I used to be. And I've suffered this as much as I think anybody else has. When you see your body getting out of shape and having a hard time keeping it together, when you see your health not as good as it was, and the identification is with this vehicle that we live in. And you might say, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by this vehicle that I live in? Like, come on, this is me. This is me. But I want to challenge that thought and tell you my own observations. When I was a baby, I was still me. When I was 6 months old, I was me. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40. It was still me. My body kept changing. My mind kept changing. In fact, the scientists tell us that every 7 years our body changes. So if that's the case, then if my body is constantly changing, then who am I? If I'm not, am I the body? Or am I the person who lives within this ever-changing body? And if I am that person that lives within here, and if I'm not this body and I'm not this mind, then what am I? Definitely am something. I do exist. I know that much. And that which exists has been called the soul, that which is ever existing. In the ancient text called the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says there, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, and never will there be a time when we shall cease to be. So if that's what the soul is, ever existing, it never gets old, never dies, then what is beauty? And it, Don O'Donohue also talks about how beauty is found in solitude. Perhaps you will not see this inner beauty in the mirror. Perhaps when you're in your solitude, and if your mind is quiet, you might feel it. You might sense it. My own experience is that when I'm able to be in that quiet inner space, everything feels beautiful. The world looks beautiful. I feel beautiful. You feel beautiful. And there's nothing, even an old elderly person who's maybe 80 years old, 90, their skin withering, if their soul is alive, there's a vibrance in them. There's a presence in there. And of course, I think a person who has neglected that inner part of themselves and who has lived their life obsessed with the external, often enough, even if they're young, they may fit the uh, media created hype of beauty, which we've all been programmed into. I am as part of that whole brainwashing. But much as we have all been caught in that, the beauty that lies within uh, even the most beautiful person, you can find out when you're in their presence, you'll feel it's not there. It's like there's this emptiness, it's hollow. But this inner glow that comes from a life well lived, from the depth of experience, from the maturity of your being, from the inner wisdom gained through time, that glow of your soul shining through you is something that you can't escape it when you come across someone like that. It's palpable. And I know that every one of us can cultivate that just by spending some time in solitude, learning to value our inner space, our inner world, learning to live there longer than we usually do. Maybe taking some time out to be by ourselves in nature, even in our homes, but just being with that inner space, with your breath, being present to it, being noticing how it feels in here. It's not just an intellectual thing, it's not just a belief system, it's not something you have to have faith in. It's an experiment you can do. You can feel this inner world and you can discover what it's like. I often think of it like how they had in the like the last frontier. You know, they talk of that in I think was it Star Trek or someplace like that, where they talked about the last frontier. Well, perhaps this is the last frontier, the frontier where most very few people actually go, but wherein lies the greatest treasure. So take some time to feel this inner space, and I think you'll find that not only will you cultivate the eyes of beauty by which you will begin to see beauty everywhere, not only within yourself, but also all around you. But I think you'll also find that there's a sweetness that comes with that. There's a sweetness in your talk, in your thinking, in the way you live your life. There's such a sweetness in this inner world. There's such a beauty within it that it's funny. The very thing you cannot see is the most beautiful of all. How strange it is. And the things you see, they're here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, they have a beauty, sure, but that beauty is short lived. And it's fun. It's fun. But it does give us a lot of heartache. I think I'm not saying we need to ignore the external world. I'm not saying that we need to not find it beautiful. Of course not. But we need to invest our trust, our sense, our foundation of who we are in this inner world. That's my call to you. What if you could do that? What are your thoughts about that? What do you think about the media hype versus the idea of inner beauty? What do you think about having a sense of a beauty that can be there for all time? A beauty that you can find in someone who is young and someone who is old. A beauty that you find within you and all around you. How would your life change if you could experience that? And if it would change, would you be willing to spend some time in solitude? Yeah, just some time being quiet. Maybe focusing on your breath. Maybe focusing on the movement of the leaves on the trees. Maybe noticing the waves a little more. Maybe being present rather than in your head. And just by doing that, you will begin to see an emergence of this wonderful way of experiencing the world. So give it a try, see what happens, and let me know. I'd love to hear in the comments about your experience. Were you able to feel the beauty within you? Were you able to feel it in the world around you just by going into that solitude that John O'Donohue talks about? Oh, and yeah, do pick up his book. It's a wonderful book. I think you'll enjoy reading it. Anam Cara. Once again, Anamcara. I think if you like something of an inspiring, poetic, soulful nature, I think you'll love reading some of his work. It's been wonderful chatting with you. Thanks once again for joining me. And I look forward to talking with you tomorrow. So lots of love. I'll see you soon. Bye.